1 second, guys. And we are live. All right, we got a live podcast today. A little uneven here. Bring this down. How's that? All right, I like that. And let me bring this over here. 1 second. I'm trying to center me up. This is just brutal. Okay. Uncle Babies, it's very difficult to do these simultaneous lives, but I'm so short on time. It's all I can do. All right, that's pretty good. All right, guys. So welcome to the show. This is on YouTube right now. So if you want to go over to youtube.com/BJ Gaddour, that is, by the way, the best place to get my content. I post 3 videos there a day, short, long, instructional exercise of the day, podcast, follow along workouts. Like, it literally is the absolute best place to access all my content. youtube.com/BJ Gaddour. I'm doing a simulcast right now on YouTube and Instagram. Got a lot of Instagram users that haven't come over yet to the YouTube channel. Again, I encourage you to do so. It will help me a lot. I'm actually transitioning my entire fitness business over to YouTube this year. It's a very challenging transition. I got to take all this content and bring it over. And so a lot of exciting stuff is going to be happening there. So I'd love to have you over there. And today I'm going to cover a pretty important topic, something that I have a lot of personal experience with, and that's exercise OCD, or just kind of obsession in general. Some of you may know people that deal with kind of this type of behavior. And again, I'm not a psychologist or psychotherapist, but I certainly know, I'm familiar with the symptoms of obsessive behavior. And, what I want to talk today is about, obsession itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, when I've been at my best in and out of the gym, there has been an obsession to what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always on my mind. I have a level of hyper focus and tunnel vision that has gotten me where I am in my career because of it. But there is a fine line where it crosses over from an obsessive or an obsession, which I think can be, when properly done, a beautiful thing, right? Obsessed with being the best you can be at your craft, and constantly improving and working hard to improve, your effort, right? You can't necessarily control many outcomes, but you can control your process and the effort you put in to executing those habits. But when it becomes damaging, right? When it becomes something where, now it's just like, this is unhealthy, that is a fine line. And once that happens, it's a scary cycle to break out of. I'm bringing this up. Probably should have talked about this long ago, but, and I apologize, I'm kind of bouncing between cameras here. I'm on IG and YouTube. But if you're on YouTube, you can ask a question in the comments section. IG just scrolls so fast, I can't keep up with things, but you can drop a question in the YouTube comments and I'll answer questions towards the end of the episode. I've got some things also some questions that have been asked, I'll add to the end, pre-questions, if you will. But I watched the movie Novice. It's either Novice or The Novice on Netflix. Again, I'm 41. I forget these things all the time. But it's basically about a college rower who has like straight OCD behavior with not only the academics, but also like anything she pursues, including joining this rowing team, having no experience, not necessarily a gifted athlete, but the work ethic. I mean, you can admire it or you can say this is crazy. And, the mentality of this individual, right? She majors in her worst subject, right? Like, that's the type of mental warfare people that get into that mindset, put upon themselves. Like, this is my worst subject, so I'm gonna major in it so that I have the ultimate accountability to flip the script, turn a weakness into a strength, right? I love that type of stuff. I've done that a lot with injuries that I've overcome, in the gym or in sport. I've done that in some ways. Part of why I'm going all in on YouTube this year, and it's going to it's going to definitely put some strain in the business as you transition over from Vimeo to YouTube, is I need that level of push and accountability. Like, it's all or nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying you do that, but I'm just saying I understand that type of behavior. And Giant, Sun Kiss, Sun God, Greek God. Wow, beautiful. Love Giants, _Love Giants. I appreciate that. So nice of you to say. especially a 41-year-old man who's aging so fast these days. But I mentioned this because, it got real bad for me personally in multiple ways. So I grew up a class clown, and I got like 100 on one test in 8th grade. And by the way, like OCD behavior, just stuff like that. Like it started for me very young, like where you go like this on one side of your nostril, then you got to do the other side. And all of a sudden you're like going back and forth. I'm not trying to make fun of it, but like this is the type of shit that happens. People, they kind of OCD, it can be twitches. It can be kind of weird mannerisms. And it can certainly be where they get like something connects with them. And again, they go all in. So I got this 100 on this quiz test. I forget what it was, but, and I'm like, I got to get another 100. And then it unlocked for me an obsession where I went from being a average, below average student at a really good like college preparatory school to end up graduating summa cum laude. It got to the point where like I got a string of just like hundreds on tests. And then fast forward a year later, I would come home. I would take the notes I wrote, I'd rewrite them manually, and then I would type them up and save them. You know what I'm saying? Like I do 6 hours of homework a night, and I was a tri-sport athlete. I'd lift after school. So like it was nonstop, like student athlete type of thing. I got to college, I was so burnt out. And beyond that, it got to a point with like just school. I had a teacher trick me into coming in to take, because I'd always take advantage of extra help anytime I could. I had a teacher trick me into coming into extra help. And then he's like, no, you're going to take this test now because I want to show you that you don't have to study as much as you've been studying. It's getting a little bit out of control. Like you got to live a life. This is a 14, 15-year-old kid. And I took the test and I got an A-, but I didn't have a chance to study for it. And I was disappointed because I was trying to get an A+. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like not everyone is like this. And the thing is, you look at a lot of people that if you're into athletics, right? No great athletes, or I probably should say all great athletes have a level of obsession where the casual person will say, oh, this is a problem. This is not something that, not only do they kind of like see it as a problem, but they might try to discourage you from being so obsessive, right? It's not worth it. Have this drink, don't do that extra amount of work, right? We all deal with those people in our life. And again, sometimes it's coming from a good place. They see a problem and they want to help you out. And sometimes it's coming from a saboteur. We've all had these anchors in our life. So if you're younger and you're newer to that type of stuff, it's hard to differentiate. And a lot of times too, it's super challenging because of the fact that it's people that are really close to you in your life, like close friends, coworkers, partners, family members. And it's a real challenge to kind of navigate that. But so it's been with me, I can, from a business standpoint, there was a period from when I was like 25 to 30, like right before I got to the point where I ended up becoming the men's health fitness director. I got so laser focused, like where those 5 years kind of like are black to me because all I did was fucking work. 25 to 30, these are like prime years of your life where you're young, you're energetic. And I did use that energy to like work constantly, but lost touch with a lot of friends, didn't really have any fun. So look, we have to go through these periods of time. Now, from an exercise standpoint, because again, I mentioned the movie The Novice on Netflix, but I would recommend checking out. I thought it was a really good movie. And there was a point in the movie where they're going through like her just doing like, she's showing up, waking up at 4 every morning, rowing for 3 hours, doing a full work schedule of classes, rowing again for a couple hours at night. She's bleeding all over the place. She's getting overuse injuries. Like she's damaging herself. And I make a comment, I'm watching with my wife, man, I admire her work ethic. And she goes, is that work ethic or is this like a problem? And again, that's one thing I guess you would say. If you are someone prone to obsessive behavior, you admire seeing stuff like that, right? The person who has no life, quote unquote, no life. All they do is focus on whatever they're focusing on, right? And don't care about anything else. And it's just like a one-track mind or one-trick pony type of mentality. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I could see why this is damaging, but this was literally me in high school. I grew up a fat kid, and I was, but I played sports and, but I was like around 14, 8th grade, and I didn't really like, there was no identity. I was chasing this identity. I was trying to get away from a lot of the stuff that was happening in my house. I was looking for a way to like, what can I do? What can I work on? How can I just become someone? And I was walking through the halls of my school, and Coach Donald Forty, who was my weightlifting coach, football coach, track and field coach, gym coach, he goes, "Hey BJ, when you come into the weight room?" And I went up to do my first lift, and he taught me how to bench press, squat, power clean, and deadlift. And I woke up the next day, and I felt every fucking muscle fiber in my body like lit up. I wasn't the same for like a week, but it awoke in me like, oh wow, like I can change my body at a cellular level. And this man, he went out of his way to like show me that I believe in you. I believe in you. I'm going to bring you up and I'm going to show you what to do. Just keep coming back. And I did that. I have not missed a training session, if you will. Like I didn't miss a training session since. And it got, but also like that same obsessive behavior started to happen. Those that train, right? You should bench press probably no more than 2 or 3 times a week. You need you need some recovery, right? But because the first workout I did, it was the bar. It was the bar. And that's what 45-pound bar, that's what I could bench press. Over time, I built that up to 400 pounds, close to that. But I got so obsessed with it, I would go in and bench every day. And I was learning, oh, wow, like you do a hard bench workout, the next day you're weaker, right? Because you create some muscle damage. That's where the recovery happens. But my mindset was more is always better. More is always better. If I can get in 7 bench sessions a week, that's going to mean that the guy that's only doing 1 or 2 bench sessions a week, he can't keep up with me. And I in my mind, I had some work to do as well. And again, like the damaging aspects of this too is you see success. Right. So obviously, like I was getting shoulder tendonitis and, but at the same time too, like you're 14, just really entering the powers of puberty where like you're on natural steroids, right? It's the time of your life. Like if you train really, really hard, you can maintain a lot of those gains for life. And so I'm building it up. I was the first person in my class to make the 1,000-pound club. It really like awoke a beast in me. And, but it got to a point where when it's the last day of school, freshman year, and I'm playing pickup basketball and I hyperextend my knee and I hear it pop. I'm about to go on a trip actually to my father's homeland in Tunisia to see it for the first time. And I knew it was a bad injury. I knew it. I actually had a loose body moving around in my knee. But instead of getting it checked out, I hid the injury. And I guess like fast forward 16 months later, when I finally got it operated on and told somebody what was going on, they took 30 pieces out of my left knee. Now I'm 41 years old now, 41 and a half. I'm probably in the market for, on my left knee, either a total knee reconstruction or replacement, because I damaged that joint so badly. From like, not only did I continue to train, I'm like, you know what? I'm hearing cracks. I'm hearing things moving around in the joint line. I'm going to put the weight up. So this is what I'm saying. This is how you know, like, this is a problem where, an obsession that allows you to, increase productivity, help more people, make more money, right? Get more gains without, losing focus on what's really important. I feel like that's what I'm all about. I'm not saying it's the right way. I'm not saying it's the only way, but that is, I know when I'm not obsessed about what I'm doing, I'm not doing my best. It has to be for me. I have to be really laser focused and locked in on something to do my absolute best. Now, does that mean I take an injury and I literally destroy my left knee? I look between my left and right knee, like there's a space between on the left side of that kneecap. There's just a gap. That patella just can't track properly. And I've done 2 decades plus of like diligent hard work to try to rebuild it and do what I can with my knowledge of the body and mobility and strength and all that stuff. And I've made great progress. But the thing about a joint that is like, I had arthritis when I was 21 in that knee. And I've had 2 surgeries on both knees by the time I was 22. Have not had any surgeries or like real injuries since. But again, the damage was so bad. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, especially if you're young, if you get caught up in that obsessive behavior, you'll end up like me at 41 with like a knee that just doesn't function properly. And I managed to find ways to get it done. And the knowledge, and if I didn't do this for a living, I'd really be fucked, because I would have gained weight by this time. I would have lost even more strength and function. And now it's just a joint that's swelling up. I can't move it, bend it. And now I'm in real trouble. So, and there's other things too. Like I'd hurt a muscle and I like, fuck it, I'm going to keep going. And it was this destructive mentality of, the stubbornness, which again allows you to do great things in life because you keep showing up, and not everybody keeps showing up. That's really the difference between a lot of what, where you are now and where you want to be in a lot of things. Just worrying about yourself, not other people. The effort you can put into something truly matters over a long period of time. I pride myself in consistency, but consistently overdoing it, consistently damaging your body, and being so short-term with your process, it can really fuck you up. And so, I'm at the mindset now where maybe I should just get it reconstructed or replaced while I'm still young, and I can recover from it faster. But this is something that I think I've seen a lot in this space, because whether it's like the CrossFit craze, right? Like you're looking for something that can kind of light you up and activate you. Again, whatever it is that you want to do that gets you going. But people take on these extreme challenges, and they want to get so much done in a short period of time. And I get that. That's literally the first half of my life. And I still taken some of that behavior with me into adulthood, even now, as an over the hill 41-year-old. I still have to fight some of these tendencies, but at the same time too, when I have taken the gas off too much, you get soft. You get a little soft. You start taking the easy way out, and almost like time and time again, right? Like I could get an extra video out today. You know what? Have perspective. And you don't think it's a big of a deal on one day, but 365 days, if you could get 365 additional extra video a day, is an extra 365 videos or marketing opportunities, right? Or revenue generating opportunities that your business may have missed from a standpoint of exercise, right? You have a stiff hip, and if you can find as many ways as possible, right, to get that hip stretched out during the day, like during your workday, which is what I do. I basically stretch all fucking day. And I have a variety of workstations I use. I'll get some videos out about this too, like a standing workstation, a seated workstation where I'm mixing between stretches. That's a level of obsessiveness that's beneficial, right? Like I'm finding ways in which I can get things that are important to me done without like increasing the overall time commitment, right? Habit stacking, multitasking, whatever you want to call it. It's not always a good thing, right? You don't want to be like talking to your friends, posting a YouTube video and stretching, right? There's a limit to this type of obsession. But I can just tell you right now, like the periods of my time from a business standpoint or a training standpoint where I'm not obsessed with the process, it's just, I'm not doing great work. I'm not doing great stuff. And when that's not happening, you get less and less motivated to do it day in, day out. So I don't even know where to look between these two cameras. But if you're on YouTube, by the way, ask a question in the comments and I will answer questions at the end. We're just talking about exercise, OCD. And if you're on Instagram, by the way, come on over to youtube.com/BJ Gaddour. That is the best place to get all of my content, past, present, ongoing. I'd love your support there over there, to get you over there. Because I got a lot more people on Instagram than YouTube, but YouTube is where like I spend like 3 to 5 hours a day on YouTube right now. And we've got some really great stuff that's coming out. So I hope you guys join us there. So this is what I mean in terms of finding that balance. So, I guess the biggest thing I would say to it, first of all, watch The Novice on Netflix. Really enjoyed it. It's a wild ride. It's probably not for everyone, but it's good to kind of see that fine line between competitive and like competitive, obsessive, and like, okay, this is obsessive compulsive disorder or behavior. Like this is damaging. You are literally damaging your mind, your body, because of this. It's not a healthy obsession. And I think some people would say, well, is that even possible? I would argue, yes, I think there are plenty of healthy obsessions or passions out there, right? And you can only be the judge of that. And by the way, it takes a lot of time to find that balance. And most people probably won't find it like probably until they're 40 plus, if I'm being honest. That level of balance where you can, because part of it too is like I don't have the same energy I used to. So had I not been so obsessive when I did have that energy, I would not be in the position I am today where I can, okay, I'm going to take a half day today. Or, I'm going to take a little break or whatever else like that. Or I finally got into the point where I'm ahead enough on things where I can schedule things and I can pick my pockets and stuff like that. Where when you're younger and you're flying by the seat of your pants and you're waking up to get stuff out, like you don't have anything, you might have stuff planned, but you got to get stuff. To get something out, you got to film it, you got to do whatever else. That level of just like daily stress of just like constantly chasing your tail, you can't do it. I can't do it at this age. Maybe you can, but I certainly can't. But I will say, whenever I'm in a plateau with something, it's because I'm just kind of, I'm not all in. And I believe there's a level of all in required to do great things. And again, to maximize the gifts you've been given and to get the most out of what is important to you. And the examples I gave about like literally destroying my knee, by the time I was 16, 17, like it was done. I mean, it was done. There's nothing you can do about it. It's literally just like it's damage, and I've got to take that with me for the rest of my life. So I wanted to share that because again, check the movie out. But if you are going through something like that right now, where you're literally just, I mean, you're doing 3 hours of exercise a day, right? And by the way, the beauty of this too is I do think it's important to make these mistakes. And you get to my age, do this long enough. Now my obsession is what's the smallest amount of time required to get the result I'm looking for. And then that I establish what that is. So if it means if I have to do at least 20 minutes of training a day, I have to walk for an hour a day, and then I have to stretch for at least a minute or two hourly. Those are kind of baseline things that I have to do to be what I am right now. With the goal of like, I'd like to get back to the level of obsessiveness I had when I was younger, 2 to 3 hour workouts. It's all I thought about, whatever. It would be nice to get back to it at some point when I have so much work, but that's not in the cards right now. So, but once you identify like these minimums that I've got to hit, okay, and these have to be hit daily. And I know that I could do more today, but I'm going to hold a little bit in the tank because I've got to run this long ass race, this marathon race that this is. If it's not sustainable, it's questionable. So you start to apply that to your workouts, to your work, to relationships. Who is really worth your time, my time? You've got to find that out. And you've got to be willing to say, okay, I could, like, for example, from a business standpoint, I could make more money right now doing this, but that's not the long-term picture or vision I have for where I want to go with your training. You could do an extra set or two, right? But what is that going to cost you in the recovery process? And you start to look at all these things where if 80% of what I was looking to get out of it is already done, I can move on to something else. Because again, you're going to keep checking up those boxes every day with the daily jab, those daily singles, versus, trying to literally hit a home run or, a haymaker knockout shot with everything you're doing. It is exhausting. It's exhausting. It's almost impossible to stay consistent with that. And ultimately it ends up hurting your mind, your body, your soul. It's just too much. So, let's see, got some questions here. We had any questions I want to just talked about, or by the way, have any of you have any experiences with OCD behavior in the gym, out of the gym, and you're willing to share, post in the comments. I'm sure some people would like to hear about it. I'll definitely read everything. And, it's a tough thing to deal with because especially when it's like a good thing, right? By the way, all life seems to be really is addiction, right? We all get human beings. Our brains are hardwired to be addicted to things, right? It just is dopamine, whatever it is. So you want to find the healthiest possible addictions, the best outlets for that natural drive that we have. And exercise seems like it's just one of the things. Well, it's good for you, right? Except that if you exercise too much, it can wear down your joints. It can actually aid you and get you in a position where, oh, wow, this actually was, I may have been better off just walking and stretching. Like, I'm serious. Like, there are a lot of people out there that may have just been better off walking and stretching because they've done so much damage to their body with high intensity, high volume training and the obsession of, this is all I want to do. And you get some results, right? And chasing that. And man, it can really wipe you out. So I just wanted to share that with you guys today. I've done a terrible job. Like, I'm in a position right now where there's so much work I have to do daily. I wake up, I could just cry looking at the list. Poor me. But I haven't found the time or energy to be more interactive. And obviously that's a big part of this whole social media process. It's really tough when you're antisocial to do well on social media. So I guess I'm blessed to have anyone follow this account. But my focus really has been like, I don't have the time or energy I used to. And then you don't have as much energy to be funny or try to entertain people, all that stuff, which, is important because this stuff gets too serious and it can get kind of boring. But all I can do is just focus on the process of just getting good content out, doing the best I can. But I am going to make a commitment to like try to do more of this type of stuff because obviously it's required and that type of thing. So let me see what questions we have. Kayon says, good morning, baby cakes. Uncle, baby biscuits. Okay, listen, Topo Chico, why won't you sponsor me? Every podcast, I drink a nice, fine Topo Chico. It's not beer. This is the finest seltzer water club soda in the game. I recommend a squeeze of limo, a little bit of salt, and you take this to the next level. This is a treat for me now, okay? Expensive, but worth it. So we had one question. How do I cure plantar fasciitis? I pulled my hamstrings and now have developed plantar fasciitis. So a couple things. Let me actually just grab, I got 2 implements right here for that. Stay with me. Couple cool things. Uncle Baby's got some tools, all right? So number 1, you want to get a double lacrosse ball. Holly Perkins, how we doing? This is an all-time fitness pro, by the way. Holly Perkins, be sure to check her out. So I love this double lacrosse ball. And what I do is you just put your foot on it and you can put your hand against the wall for support. And all you do is you just pressure wave through this ball. And if this is the bottom of my foot, I can bias more the inside, the outside, and just go really just the whole from the heel all the way through to the knuckles of the foot. And, pressure wave side to side, really dig in. I love this too. I just got this. And by the way, some of these, it's been great. Some of these this is from Therabody. And I think also at Hyperice too. If your health savings account or your FSA account, you can buy some of these things through that. I know times are tough financially right now for people. Zapile. Oh my God. This guy, let me tell you about Matt Zapile. Okay. Just worked with Travis Kelce. I saw, congratulations, buddy. One of my all-time favorite people I've worked with. He was a Men's Health senior video editor, amazing editor, great videographer, and just a really awesome guy to work with. But we had some great times in Allentown, Pennsylvania for the 2 years I was at Men's Health. And shout out to Matt Zapile. But this is great. So if you're a runner, by the way, every day, if you have the time, right, do at least a minute or 2 on the sole of your foot, your plantar fascia, right? What did Lieutenant Dan saying? There were 2 rules in the Army in Forrest Gump. One of them was take care of your feet. Foot care is really important when you get, not only is you're prone to plantar fasciitis, and if you can't walk, and walking is painful, wow, it's almost impossible to have to find quality of life. So this is a really cheap thing. You can also take like 2 tennis balls or 2 lacrosse balls, put them in a sock and achieve the same effect, or just get like one of these peanuts on Amazon for like $5 to $10. Now this Wave Duo, Uncle Baby Biscuits loves vibration. Okay. See it? Hear it? So this actually, you can do the same thing, but also you get the vibration from the ground up through that tissue. So I'm a big fan of that. I think this will help tremendously. this is an investment, but again, like you can use your health savings account funds to help get it. And my whole thing is the best investment is self-investment. You can even take, I've got all these tools right here. It's like, this is like Uncle Baby's massage parlor is coming to a theater near you. So this is the HyperIce gun, which is also nice. Again, the benefit of standing on this, I can get my full body weight on it. So anytime you can do that, it's going to be a more intense, effective stretch. But maybe you're sitting down and I just want to put this on the sole of my foot. All right, YouTube, I'm just going to adjust that. And the cool thing about this Hyper gun is they have a heated attachment I just got, which is amazing. So you're actually, the heat is the key to massage, mobility. I'm a big fan of stretching in a sauna, in a hot tub, right out of the shower, massaging around those times as well, because you're just going to get a better result faster, right? These are the things that you learn along the way, where if you come in hot and warm to a session, you can get it done, what you need to get done in half the time or less. So these are the things that you're short on time, save time, but you're watching TV at night. All right, I love this more for, I just did a video on youtube.com, by the way, for those that have elbow pain, a complete massage routine, biceps, forearms, triceps, with all the modalities I use. But this you can put on the base of your foot too. And the thing about a percussion massager, I mean, you can look at just here. I'm gonna. Well, I don't need to turn on the heater because you can't even tell if it's hot. But heat attachment, which is, again, you don't have to necessarily get this. There's some cheap $50 versions of this gone at Home Goods, those types of stores, Target. But this one is next level. And if you have really big, thick tissue, look at that. It gets kind of sexual. So all those vibrations coming right through the plantar fascia, but you can apply that to any muscle that is tight or tender. And I'm a big fan of that as well. You can also scrape, cheap tool on Amazon. You want to get some lotion so you can really glide on those tissues. But you can scrape the soles of your feet as well. Now it's a lot of work, which is good. It improves dexterity, your arm strength, like that kind of like old man, old woman strength that people used to have when they actually did manual labor, using your hands in that manner. But as you're standing on something and rolling, like your whole body weight is doing the work for you, right? But you can also take this and literally scrape with lotion the bottom of your foot and get those tissues going. So I hope that helped. Foot, by the way, you're also, especially when you're standing on something like this too, you are all those articulations in the feet, all those individual joints around the feet, the toes, you are mobilizing those areas. So it is stretching your feet. And then you combine that with doing just a little bit of, if not whatever barefoot training you can, maybe like a short 10-minute barefoot walk a day. Another great way to mobilize the feet. Do it in grass if you can. I do it on cement because I'm just like this freak show in my neighborhood. But I do notice when I do at least 10 minutes of barefoot walking a day, everything feels better. So the plantar fascia rolling, all the modalities I just showed, and let me turn this off because I actually need to use this later for my hip flexor. And those stretches too. And I think I have an again, if you go to youtube.com/BJ Gaddour and search whatever you're looking for, I've got thousands of videos there that are topical, like evergreen, based on like this hurts or I want to work this muscle, that type of stuff. I love your support over there. We got some great stuff. What other questions we have? Someone did ask me on another, let me see what I have on Instagram here. Any questions on Instagram? Trying to look through, things came through. But someone asked me if I did a product review on YouTube called about a fan bike, Airdyne X, and do I still use it? I no longer have the bike. I had to sell it in a move. We moved over to Palm Springs, desert area here. So I've tried, like, is there another bike I recommend? I haven't really used any bikes since. And I talked earlier about the Novice, the rower. Like my two least favorite, I guess my least favorite forms of cardio are when you sit. All right. I shit on Peloton all the time about this stuff. It's like all day long you're sitting. So is this who we are now? We're going to sit and do cardio now too. So I'm not a fan of rowers personally. I'm 6'2" and I'm big. And I've had a lot of hip and ankle mobility issues. So rowing is just a nightmare for me. And that's probably part of why I don't like it. But I also I get my cardio through sled, boxing, a lot of shadow boxing, heavy bag work, a lot of stuff. I got some great sled content too coming your way, guys, because I've got the latest like Torque MX sled. This is like a heavy duty. I've shared their starter sled, which I really recommend, the M1 tank. But a lot of sled training is coming. I guess the three biggest cardio modes I use, besides like my walk, my weighted walk, I do a lot of heavy bag work. I do a lot of sledding, and I do a lot of stuff in the pool. A lot of stuff in the pool because I need that. I need zero or as that closer to zero gravity environment for me, or low impact environment, is what's really important to help me with a lot of the injuries I had from football and lifting when I was young. So those are my favorite options, but I don't have a bike recommendation. I did really like the Aerodyne X though. That would be the only thing I'd recommend. Like the only seated option that I like is a full body fan bike. Aerodyne, what's the one that Rogue has? The Assault bike, I think, or another one. I've been on an Assault bike. That's killer. I actually like the Aerodyne fan bike better than the Assault bike personally, but those are great. Cause again, you can really, it's a safe way to push yourself to the limit, but it also, again, doing a lot of things seated, it really tightens up your hips. And if you're not really cognizant of your core and spinal positioning, it can be damaging to your posture, your mobility. You get back and hip pain, stuff like that, even knee pain. So, that's why, again, like I do a lot of lake cycling in the pool because I actually get continuous fluid resistance that way. It's a compression, anti-inflammatory environment. And it actually helps with mobility because my hips are in free space. They're not locked in, but that's my recommendation there. Trent on YouTube. Hey, brother, best channel for fitness out there. I appreciate that, man. If you guys could like, share, subscribe, that'd be much appreciated for those watching. I posted in the wrong place initially. My question is, I've seen people work out for time, 20 seconds work, 30 seconds rest, as opposed to reps. Okay, this is a great question. So this is actually probably worth a full podcast, but here's the short answer. I started my training because I came through powerlifting, football training. Everything was rep focused. If it wasn't and even like the cardio stuff was rep focused. It was like sprint up and down. That's one rep, right? So most of us will probably start, if you're a man of a certain age, like me, 41 plus, you probably began your fitness or exercise journey through repetitions, which are great because we know that lower reps tend to be better for more strength. Higher reps tend to be better for more stamina and endurance. Mid reps tend to have kind of good blend of both, but also are optimal for muscle gain. But ultimately too, as long as you can, true strength training is going to happen in 3 to 5 reps or less. But in terms of building muscle, there is plenty of research to show that as long as you're pushing close to failure and you're getting some progressive overload, you can build similar amounts of muscle with all rep ranges. In fact, you want to use all rep ranges if possible because you're working all the fibers, right? So that's kind of where we are with a lot of the rep-based stuff. Now, working for time is my preferred venue in most cases because to me, if you're putting in the time, you're getting the reps. And a lot of that came from I started doing this. My first job in fitness was cleaning toilets and cardio equipment at a local gym in Amherst, Massachusetts. And then I would clean up the gym in the training gym where I played at Amherst College, also in Massachusetts. That was my start. Then I did one-on-one training. I went into corporate training. Then I did boot camps. Then I did all the online shit, the men's health stuff. But that's where I started. And when you work with people of a variety of fitness levels and you're trying to get things all done at the same time, reps are challenging, right? Because everyone does a rep. You might do a rep faster than me of a certain movement, right? If I'm a taller, bigger person, or you're just faster, more conditioned than me, it's hard to schedule and get people in sync. But when you work for time, it allows all people to go at their pace. And ultimately, too, the work periods and rest periods can also be similarly categorized like reps. So short bursts of 10 to 20 seconds are effectively like they're your sprints, but also they're kind of like your lower rep protocols in some ways. And then 30 to 60 second work periods, typically that can be accomplished in 8 to 15 repetitions. So instead of having to count reps, which by the way are very distracting when you train, I don't like counting reps unless they're really low, right? And that's really where I kind of differentiate. If the goal is pure maximum strength performance, I think rep-based programming makes the most sense most of the time. you still want to work in some time-based protocol, especially for things like isometrics and that type of thing, or like conditioning. But if the goal is just general fitness, more fat loss, muscle gain, well, time under tension is most important. So, working for 30 to 60 seconds at the fastest clip you can with quality form while having good breathing mechanics is probably a better protocol than counting the number of reps. You're cycling on a bike or those types of things, right? And especially when you're stringing a bunch of moves together, that's when counting. We know this, by the way, in terms of how the brain works. If you're counting, it actually is taking away a level of focus, maximum focus you can achieve instead of like the mind-muscle connection, the focus on the form. So whenever possible, I like to go on time-based protocols. And by the way, like it's not just in terms of I love time sets of 2 minutes. Most of the stuff I'm doing lately are like, they last about 2 minutes long, which allows me to kind of really warm up into it. And then in some cases, I can reach failure multiple times safely because of that time under tension. So I'm a big fan of it. And obviously, the work periods are also affected by the rest periods. If you're doing 30-second work periods with 90 seconds of rest, you can go much harder. But if you're going 30 seconds rest, you're now getting a lot more work done faster, right? So that's actually incredible for fat loss and cardio. So again, rest periods have always been timed, but for some reason, people have a hiccup with turning a work period into a time-based protocol. Ultimately, you're going to want to use both. And by the way, you can also just like the Zen state above all that is to do everything through breath. So what that means is you do a set, and basically I'll go as long as I can while maintaining the breathing, which is auto-regulated, right? For example, I'm going to do a hang. I'm going to go as long as I can. The grip is the limiting factor, but while being able to for example, maintain a box breath, 5 seconds in, breath hold for 5 seconds, 5 seconds exhale, 5-second breath hold again. I'll repeat that cycle. And when I can't maintain it, that's when the set terminates. So you can do things based on reps, time, breaths. And ultimately you want to kind of use all of that because it's great for variety. And ultimately maybe you might need more breath work. Maybe you need more time-based stuff because again, the problem with reps, so you look at most gyms, right? Someone does 10 bicep curls as fast as possible. They're done in 10 and 20 seconds or less. Now, I'll do 10 reps with focus and intention. I like to make it last like Keith Sweat. Okay. So I like to see how long I can make those 10 reps last, which means lightweight feels heavy. I can make 25s feel like 50s, which my elbows love. All right. Old elbows, like if you can get the training effect for your muscles with 25s versus 50s, or by the way, like I do so much stuff in the water. I have these water bells and I get these continuous contractions. Like I've had the best arm pumps in the water. Now I try to share some of that stuff, but obviously not a lot of people have water access and I don't want to make people feel bad about that. But if you can invest in that, it'll make a big difference. And I do a lot of 2-minute pump sets in the water, which are just great. I just focus on breath and just moving and making slower and faster repetition. So yeah, I'll do a full podcast on that at some point, but one is not necessarily better than the other. You do need reps for strength. When it comes to fat loss and muscle gain, I've done it in times entirely time-based. And what I mean also by you start to transcend, I still love doing boxing, 3 minutes on, 1 minute off. But lately, I just set a countdown clock for 20 minutes. I do a lot of countdown clocks, or as I call it, hourglass workouts. And I'll just flip it. And if it's the case, if I actually am blessed enough with the time to do a full hour of training, I'll just flip the hourglass. I'll come in with the plan of what I want to do to start. Typically, because I'm old, I got to warm up. And then I let it just go from there. Sometimes I have a plan. Sometimes I just flow and freestyle. And then I'm done in an hour. Now, you could say, well, what's the plan? Well, the thing is, I've been doing this a long time. So I can just fuck around to get a triple-double. You enter that stage of your training, meaning as long as I put in the hour and that last grain of sand comes down and I just keep moving, great stuff is going to happen. So, process over outcomes, especially when you're in stages of life or seasons of life where you're so busy and you don't have the focus required for a really structured, intense program, but you got to stay in motion. So for me, instead of coming up with the perfect boxing workout that day, I know that if I just put a countdown clock on for 20 minutes, I start slower. And by the end of that, I'm just dropping bombs in that bag. And, I get an amazing workout. And it's a real simple setup. 20-minute countdown. I'm not worried about reps. I'm not worried about anything. And again, sometimes when I'm really feeling good, that 20 minutes looks like amazing. And sometimes I have an old man day and it looks a little rough, but I still did my 20. And so I'm a big fan at this stage of life in general. You got to put in the time. You put in the time, you get the reps. So that's my general thought there. Total Body Tony says rowers are awkward for him too. Echo. Favorite unconventional lift you progressively overload? Oof. So just the nature of what I do, I always like to kind of meet people where they're at and live in that space. So I don't like, I've had stages in my life where I've had a lot of cool equipment. Now is not that time. Though I have a great minimalist home gym. I've got everything I need. I've got pull-up dip bars, row bars. I got a suspension trainer. I've got bands. I've got, plenty of dumbbell options, though I don't really use dumbbells as much anymore. I've got a pool and a hot tub and a little cheap ass private sauna. So this is like the most cost-effective minimalist full scale gym setup. But I don't have machines. I have a sled, I have a heavy bag, but that's the limit of what I have. So I don't use barbells. I haven't used barbells for a long time, though I started with that. So I guess unconventional lift that I can overload. Man, that's a tough one. I don't really do some would look at all the things I do as unconventional because it is so minimalist and it's not like I don't work out at a gym, right? So it's all unconventional. I guess a lot of the stuff I do in the water is pretty unconventional because people I'm in the stage now where I'm at year 1 or 2 in my water journey, where I was like 14, 15 with like traditional on land strength and conditioning. So it's a weak point for me, and based on just my size and my mass, like treading or swimming in water is very challenging for me. Water, like I have a lot of room for growth in the water. On land, much less so because I've already done all this work. And by the way, like just the reality of this, I'm a natural trainee. Like my days on land are numbered, right? It's super taxing. Gravity starts to win a lot of these things. So you got to really pick your spots on land. But I'm finding ways to push myself to levels that are almost impossible on land in some cases because of how forgiving the water is. So I would say my water training is probably the most unconventional. I do a lot of bouncing between like contrast therapy while I'll stretch in the hot tub for 2 minutes and then train in the cold water because we don't heat that pool. I'll train in the cold water for 2 minutes. I'll cycle back and forth, 30-second rest periods in between. That's probably the most unconventional thing I do right now that I can think of, but I'll put more thought into that. Tony says, you know how to make a push-up insanely hard. Yeah, check out, we got a lot of push-up content on the YouTube channel as well. This top 66 variations. I just put out a great beginner video for those that just don't know how to, like, push-ups are hard for you. It's because you haven't mastered the basics. And by the way, the basics I use every week. You're never beyond the basics. So let me see what else we got. Any other questions on Instagram? But yeah, that's about as unconventional as I can think of. I do a lot of stuff with a weight vest, but I do a lot of like body weight calisthenic stuff. Actually, that's the other piece too is I'm in a real creative process with mobility, and I'll be sharing a bunch of mobility stuff coming through because not only is my audience is aging with me, obviously, and a lot of people are in pain right now. And the thing about pain is, some people are lazy, but most people don't know what to do, are short on time and energy, and they're in pain. So it's not fun to move, or they don't know what they can do, what movements they can do that can get them the benefits of exercise without all the pain. So that's why I'm doing a real heavy focus on mobility now. That's why I'm trying to get as many people converted into the water when you can, because the water can allow you to rebuild your body and heal a lot of the stuff from competitive athletics or just the natural aging process that, gravity does start to win around 35, and it gets even more challenging from there. But what other final questions we have here too? There was something else someone asked me as well. Oh yeah. So in terms of, do you have an affiliate link for the gun? I don't. I got this from Hyperice. And again, they have, by the way, both Therabody or Hyperice have these. I've used have I used Theragun? I think I have. They're both great. I have the latest Hyperice Hypergun. I think it's called Pro Model, and the heated attachment. Really love it. It's a couple $100, but there's cheap knockoffs, Home Goods, Target, pharmacy store, stuff like that. But I don't have an affiliate link, but this is, I believe it's called the Hypergun or Hypervolt Pro with the heated attachment. That's what it is. What else we got? Okay. So if we're almost coming on an hour here. Were there any Instagram questions I can answer? And this obviously simulcast on YouTube. I'm scrolling up to see if I missed anything. I'm really bad at it. I'm just not, I don't do these often in terms of like finding where people, I just see so many names coming through. All right. Last call for questions. While I wait for the last call here. So if you're on Instagram, do Uncle BB Biscuits a favor. Follow or subscribe to my free YouTube channel, youtube.com/BJ Gaddour. I have put basically there's 3 videos a day. Some days I might only get 2 out, but my commitment is 3 a day. A short thing that's typically like 10 seconds or less, and then 2 long form kind of widescreen type content. Sometimes exercise of the day. Sometimes it's like variations, like 10 awesome obliques exercises, right? All stuff you can do at home or take to the gym. And then I put in both instructional and follow-along workouts with ads. If you want ad-free to what I do, that's only possible at thedailybj.com. But I put on just the catalog of content. It's just incredible over there. I love your support, and I think you'd be blown away. I've set up playlists for you guys with a variety of follow-along workouts, body weight, dumbbell, muscle gain, you name it. And, we get 3 pieces of content out a day. I don't know anyone who's doing that. So I'd really appreciate the support there. Any supplements for ligaments? So I guess overall joint health, connective tissues. People know about collagen or things like glucosamine, chondroitin. What I like to do is I make my soups and chilies with bone broth base so that I get the collagen. I even make my own custom bone marrow broth where I literally I stewed the bone marrow and get all not only the bone broth collagen, but the marrow benefits as well. I know that's a turnoff to a lot of people, but that's people ask that's to me that is my supplement, but it's a natural thing. And the one thing to know with things like collagen, in terms of research, you need enough vitamin C to absorb it or to get the effect. So just make sure you get enough vitamin C daily. But I'm a big fan of bone broths. You can drink them solo. You can put them into your chicken soups, your chilies. Right now I'm on a midday shake and end of day super chili. That's all I'm doing right now. And it's not only because I'm old. It's just they're quick, easy, cheap, affordable things I can do with my work schedule. Trying to save money as well because things are tough out there right now for everyone. And I literally just ride that train. I'm not a variety guy. And I know a lot of people would hate doing that style of thing. But for me, it's just a routine I can get on, and it's just easy. Are you still boxing? Yeah, I box. That's my favorite. I mentioned earlier, my favorite form of cardio is stuff in the pool, weighted walks, sled work, and heavy bag. I do a shit ton of heavy bag work. I really love it. It's just such good stuff. Jungle Cat, how we doing, buddy? What else? One other thing I saw. All right, so I'll be back with more stuff. Last muscle endurance for jiu-jitsu. Besides actually practicing the sport, best grip exercises, hangs. The best thing I think anyone can do, if I can leave you guys with something quick, invest in I got a $37 door pull-up bar. And a lot of these you can bring to an office. I know people do this. And every time you go by it, just hang on it. Maybe you can do hang while keeping your feet on the floor to self-assist, but just get in the habit. And I have one now. I have one here, so I can jump on that anytime I want. For those on Instagram saw that. And then I have one by my bathroom door, which means, which is great because as you get older, you pee more. So anytime I go, anytime I'm by my bathroom, I jump on the bar. Sometimes I'll go for 2 to 3 minutes. Sometimes it's 10 seconds, especially like in the morning when you're really weak. But that habit for me, grip, shoulder mobility, spinal decompression, it's just a big bang for your buck thing. I can stick with that no matter how busy work gets, no matter how low energy I am, because actually it's soothing. It releases stress. It makes me feel good. And those are the things that like are the most important things to get into the habit of doing, because I can't always get up for a hard workout or hard training, but I can always get up for a hang, and it's great for longevity. So, but carries are great. Farmers walks, as they're called. So many varieties of those to do. I'll have a farmer's walk or carries variation coming out at some point as well. I love doing, here's a quick tip too. I think I shared this recently. I like to do, a lot of people are like, how heavy can you go? Again, how can I make lightweight feel heavier, get a better effect? I love doing single-sided carries. And by the way, you can do this on a walk. I shared a video like this, rucking, where you can just like you just mix between like a suitcase carry, left, right, block to block, or just whenever one side fatigues, you're getting your obliques, your core, your lateral glutes, because that asymmetrical load, you're working your grip. You can do it with dumbbells. So I love extended duration grip stuff like that too. I like to use fat grips. I like to do towel grip stuff. So towel grip stuff, whether it's rows, pull-ups, curls, those are fantastic. And yeah, those are my general recommendations there. Yeah, man, there's so many ways you can hang. Hangs are really, again, there's so many variations. I will also, at some point, I'm going to put together a nice little challenge for that as well for hangs. All right. I think that was everything. If you're on Instagram, thanks for joining. Go to youtube.com/BJ Gaddour. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. Get everything I have. Short form, long form, instructional and follow-along workouts, exercise of the day, variations, podcasts, you name it. And I'll be doing more of this stuff as well. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I always seem to apologize for not being more face first or more interactive with you guys. I'm just doing the best I can. The amount of work I have, I do almost all my video editing, all my image designing, all my writing. It's taxing for this old tender Uncle Baby biscuit. So I just have been finding myself short on time and energy to do stuff like this. But those that are members of the dailybj.com, where you get ad-free and first access to all of my stuff for the last 10 years, we posted a bunch of new workouts that you guys will obviously see first, ad-free. And I've got, tomorrow I'll be filming a new follow-along for you guys of some lying, awesome hip spinal mobility drills against the wall, pre-post workout, anytime. So that'll be coming to you guys first. When it comes to YouTube, weeks and months later with ads, so even then, you guys will still see it at some point. So thank you for tuning in. Have a beautiful weekend. Love you guys. Peace. Still on YouTube here. I'm trying to see if I missed any final questions. All right. Take care, guys.